How would Sanji have done on the rooftop against Kaido and Big Mom if he was there in place of Killer or Zoro? Personally, I don't think there's too much he could have done, and I also think he would have got himself killed. But let me explain my thoughts for why that's the case, because no, it's not because he's weak, not at all. But to get into that, we gotta first look at the other supernova to see how they were doing on the rooftop. And for the most part, everybody that was there was pulling out 150% of what it is they were able to do. People like Zoro and Luffy had to both keep pushing themselves to learn new things that they never thought possible before in order to keep the fight going. Luffy did not get to the rooftop capable of doing this from the outset. He had to learn how to do this in the middle of combat. Same way Zoro had to keep learning how to use Enma and manage that Haki drain. Even Killer had to pull out moves that he had never used before up until this moment. And the only ones that were holding back on the rooftop were Kid and Law, but that's because they were saving their awakenings for when they fought Big Mom later. Now, the things that they have at this point in time that Sanji doesn't is the ability to fight going all out using everything that you have in your arsenal in order to win. We're fighting against two of the strongest, if not the two strongest people in the world right now. Everybody needs to bring their A game. It doesn't matter if you're fighting Big Mom or Kaido. Every move in your arsenal needs to be used. And so the issue that comes in with Sanji has nothing to do with combat, because we know in fighting he's nasty. But this dude has too many honor codes and personal morals that get in the way of him actually trying in some of these fights. For example, he could be fighting very well, but then he'll get distracted because, oh, my body's turning into like an exoskeleton similar to my brother's. I don't want that to happen. And while he's thinking about this stuff that doesn't matter, in the middle of a war, Queen is able to get this hit off on the back of his head. Now, Sanji awakening this exoskeleton keeps this from killing him, but if that were Kaido or Big Mom, his head would be rolling. They are not people that you can afford to space out against. You need to actually fight them and stay attentive the entire time. And we know this is true because when we saw Luffy barely get away from that Thunder Bog when he's like, man, even though I saw the future, I still got hit. Big Mom was immediately on his bumper right afterward, and Zoro had to come and save him with the Foxfire style. And right after he saved Luffy there, he had to tell him, Luffy, do not drop your guard. We are fighting two emperors, and Kaido is right behind Luffy with the follow-up. Sanji doing this on the rooftop will get him killed, literally. But this isn't the only issue with Sanji being on the rooftop, because him not throwing any attacks at Big Mom is also a really big detriment to the team. Kaido isn't human, so physically Big Mom is stronger than probably 100% of the men on this planet. If you ain't swinging at her, get off the rooftop. Sanji would have a very limited utility if there's one of the big monsters on the rooftop that he cannot swing at. Like, we can't have that happening. But none of these things individually are going to get Sanji killed. It's the last thing that will. And that thing is not using his hands in combat. Like, remember, Sanji is actually very competent with using blades, and with the Haki that he has, if he could put some Haki on a sword that Kid brought up, I could imagine he can injure Kaido at least as well as the Scabbards did. But we would never know, because he wouldn't use his hands. And that would actively piss Kaido off. This dude lives for combat to see how well you can fight. Like, the only reason he's not killing everybody right now is because he wants to see what they can do. And if he's going to give you the opportunity to attack him so he can see what you can do, and you're not going to take it, you're probably going to piss him off. Like we saw on the rooftop after he gave everybody a bunch of chances to hurt him, and he said that it would be a shame to have to kill them all, but he has to do it. It's only a shame because they're so strong, but he has to kill them anyway because that's his job right now. But if Mr. Too Cool for School is over here with his hands in his pocket, Kaido's like, what are you even doing up here, dude? You won't swing at Lin because she's a woman. A little patronizing because she's way stronger than you, but whatever, I get it. You won't use your hands because your pride as a cook matters more than taking down me, the strongest creature in the world, in the middle of a war? Dude, I'm trying to kill your captain right now. Like, you better lock in. And then lastly, you got a raid suit that makes you even stronger, and you refuse to wear it because of your own code? Do you know what you're doing right now? You're fighting on the rooftop against the two strongest people for the fate of the rest of the world right now. All your little personal things that are keeping you from actually giving 120% or even 100% is really goofy, and you should just get off the roof. Like, Kaido wants a good fight, so I can imagine him being just like Queen and wanting Sanji to put the raid suit on, but Sanji just breaks it instead. And then Kaido will get livid and be like, all right, you don't want to try? I'm gonna just kill you then. And then Sanji's life is in jeopardy. Because keep in mind, before he awakens his exoskeleton later in this arc, Black Maria with no Haki, just, brass knuckles, can make this dude bleed. And if she doing that, what do you think a Conqueror coded attack from Kaido finna do? Put him on the back of a cereal box. So it's not that Sanji is too weak to be on the rooftop. It's just that unlike these other 5 people, he has too many things that are keeping him from fighting full on. Big Mom's on the roof, so he's not gonna hit her. Even though he's really trained in the way of the sword and he's in a land of the samurai where you could have just picked a good one up before you came up here, you're not going to use your hands because they're only for cooking. And then when things get too hard, you got a raid suit that can make things a little bit easier for you, you'll just get rid of it because you don't want to do that. You don't want to give in to your family stuff because of your own family trauma. It may be speculation, but I would imagine this is stuff that would really make Kaido upset and that Kaido would just kill him. Like, he would not hold back on Sanji. He held back on everybody else for a long time because he wants to see what they can do. But if you're not going to show me what you can do, I'm just going to get rid of you. So moral of this story is that it's not that Sanji is weak and that's why he wasn't on the rooftop. And it's not that he's weak, which is why I say he would get himself killed. It's just that everybody else on the rooftop had nothing holding them back from going 150% against the two emperors. However, Sanji would have some things that he has to keep in mind. And the only reason he would have to keep those things in mind is if he wants to preserve his own code of honor, which, in the middle of war, trying to save the people that you love, to me doesn't mean as much, but to him it may mean a lot. And just because I think this does not mean that I think Sanji is weak or I think Sanji sucks. No, I like Sanji a lot. You just have to keep in mind that despite the potential that he has, he wants to be a cook. He's not aiming to be in the top percentage in the world and a swordsman, king of the pirates, whatever the case may be. All this dude wants to do is cook for people. Could he do some things to make himself stronger? 100%. But does he care to do it? No, because that has nothing to do with his future. And you know what? I respect that. And that's why he wasn't on the rooftop. As far as I'm concerned, he was right where he needed to be, fighting Queen. Because if Queen wasn't dicking around so much when fighting Sanji, then Sanji wouldn't have had the time to have his body adjust and become, awaken to its Germa genes. Which, as a result, gave him Infant Janbei. And Infant Janbei, I think, could do a lot of damage to Kaido, but Kaido would have killed him before he got a chance to get here, trust me. Quick side note. I want to thank everyone and any of the people that were, here on TikTok that went over to my YouTube and sub to that, because I just hit over 1,000 subscribers there. I know, in the grand scheme of things, people with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of subscribers don't seem like that much, but for me, hitting 1,000 is kind of crazy because I never thought that I would get my YouTube, to at least have consistent content on it. And starting with the next chapter of One Piece, I do want to start doing live chapter reactions, and it wouldn't just be for One Piece. It would be One Piece, My Hero, and JJK, because those are the 3 series that I read right now. Maybe even Dragon Ball Super. Let me know.